Good night. It's late at night. It's about 11 o'clock on the 15th of February 2025, and the weather outside is cold. It's a damp coldness. I do fully understand that in parts of Canada, in parts of the Midwest of the United States, like Montana and even Minnesota and South Dakota and North Dakota, it's cold there too, and sometimes colder than here. But our cold is a dampish cold, and as they say, it gets in on you. I don't find it too bad, but I hear a lot of people complaining about it. I have a good fire on in the old cooker over at the farmhouse, and I have oil heating and a bit of other heating as well, and it's nice to have it and nice to be comfortable. This is why I totally and utterly reject the Greens, the Green cause, because it expects you to sit in the cold while they don't do it themselves. This is J.D. Vance plus Val, and one of the gems from J.D. Vance's speech in Munich at the security conference was he referred to a few hills in Davos. He was in Munich and he was referring to the World Economic Forum, which he clearly dislikes and which I hate. See the difference in him and me. I'm more extreme. That's very important. A lot of people don't like the fact that I say that. They think you should be a nice fellow and all that. Well, I am a nice fellow. That doesn't mean I can't be extreme. Now, I made the video about the Germans, and they never make small mistakes, and it was totally and utterly misunderstood by some posters, not them all. I didn't say that the Kaiser or Hitler were ethically good or bad, or that their main, is it protagonist is the word? I think that's the word you use, enemy anyway, Great Britain, were ethically or morally good or bad. I said they didn't and never made, the Germans I mean, small mistakes. There's a difference in making a mistake and being wrong ethically. Total difference. I wasn't for 1 minute trying to judge who was right or wrong in either one. What I did say is, if the Kaiser, isn't that what you call him, Wilhelm, he should have assessed his chances of winning. And as Bob Dylan says in the song about the First World War, I never did understand what that war was about. I know one thing, I wouldn't have fought in it anyway. Somehow Archduke Ferdinand got shot. The devil mend him. To hell with him. That's my attitude. Well, you might say, you might put a fancy word on it. You see, but right, he lost the First World War, so he hadn't it too well planned, had he? And what I know a little better about is the Hitler's war, because there's so much material on it and good material on it, and about the way it started and the Treaty of Versailles, and Maynard Kane walked out of it, all that stuff, which is probably all right. That's not the point I make. The point I make is that Hitler was a wrong one. There's no doubt he was, and he inflicted such suffering on people that even no matter whether you compare him to the British or anybody else, the British never had the same level of extermination and pure, unadulterated cruelty as Hitler had. And it wasn't only Jews got it, it was other people. I don't agree with persecuting anyone. People might think I'm anti-gay. God, that's totally and utterly wrong. I'm not anti-gay. I just don't accept that they should rise. A branch of them only should rise to the top as the proper method of the human race to live. Because obviously there'd then be no babies. Don't know, can you see that some of you? I'm not too sure. So it was as well that Hitler was beaten, perhaps, maybe so. I can tell you that at least 50% of the people I grew up among, particularly of the Catholic denomination, were praying that he would win and were severely sorry that he lost, and told me that themselves. That say it was a pity Hitler didn't win the war, and that shows you the attitude there was, and that was in connection to the Irish border and the British history in Ireland. So I am aware of all that. What I'm saying is, if it had to be a straightforward battle and there hadn't to be such viciousness and and cruelty against people in it, Hitler had the chances of winning by keeping his forces away from Russia. He had a treaty with Stalin in which he gave him the Baltic states, rightly or wrongly, and then he went in and he tried to grab Stalin's territory and pose a threat to Stalin. And it took millions and millions of Russians to fight the Germans. That's what I'm saying. That was a strategic mistake, an outrageous mistake. Now, if you don't push me too much on the First World War, on it, and it's too time consuming to go into it, I've dealt with my point on the Second World War, and then the point I'm making is the Germans making big mistakes is cyclical. It's cycle, like the seasons of the year. They made two in the 20th century, that's the 1900s, and now they're going to make another one. They're making one, and this is what J.D. Vance was telling them. Now, you know that I'm constantly barking on about their stupid renewable energy and their net zero. And they've infected this idiot in Britain, Keir Starmer, into thinking you can do that. And you cannot do that. But they're the architects of the renewable energy and the wind farms that are here beside me, and destroyed my farm and destroyed the place I grew up and destroyed the wildlife and changed the entire character of the countryside and its wildlife with their massive turbines, which I have went to great extent to show are not working anywhere and are not working in Germany either. There's 61,000 megawatts of the junk, and they're still stuck and stopped for energy. And a friend was in Germany only a couple of weeks ago, and it's terribly cold over there. Tell me it's terribly cold. So I think there's an idea there too that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't hold it in for the Germans. You shouldn't have revenge. I do accept being a sort of a Christian, but I don't know if anyone really a pure Christian. But I do accept to be for many reasons, because of personal and spiritual reasons, but also because I see what replaced Christianity, the woke. I'd have Christianity any day, any day. Oh my word! Oh, it's unbelievable stuff. Now, anyway, the thing is too that there is people saying, "Oh, you're a great man. You know everything, Val." Like you'd expect me to come along and say, "Oh well, no, I don't know everything," and there are things I do not know. Why, for example, McDonald's sells a thing that's called fries, which are a form of manufactured chips. They take the potato, obviously, and they take out anything they don't want out of it, and they leave the outside of it, take out the wet middle. Probably they have some way of checking to see there's no rotten bits in it, and then they make it into some kind of a smash or a mash, and they make it back into chips. We don't need to go there. But why is there no vinegar in McDonald's? You've served brown sauce, red sauce, tomato ketchup, but never vinegar. You think there would be in a place selling chips? Anyway, you can comment on that. Another thing that I don't know is this. If you go into any town in Ireland, and the bit I've been in the UK, I observed it too, and in America too a little bit, you see that the footpaths, some of them are made with slabs, like, what do you call them? You put them in patios. The square piece of concrete made up. The paving slabs, I think you call them. Maybe there's a name, I just don't think of it at the moment. But anyway, they're either made up of them or they're made up of concrete. Concrete poured into a screed and let set. Now, if you look at any town, they're constantly taking them up and replacing them. And indeed, you will see cracks in them. And how do they get cracked with people? In fact, in houses I lived with my, I'd be fair, I'm probably not 13 stone, I suppose. I'm tallish, so that makes me that little bit heavier. But in any event, where people are walking around, you'll see the concrete cracking. And yet you go into a parking lot, the multi-storey car parks, and they get unbelievable hacking with car tyres, pulling on them, power. People walk on them, and yet they never crack. How come the concrete in a multi-storey car park seems to last forever? There's some of them in Dublin anyway, and they're 50 years of age, if not more. And yet the concrete outside in the footpath cracks and gives. How come it behaves differently? I suspect the concrete in the footpaths is only maybe 20, 25, 30 Newton. Maybe for the car park they put in 40 to 50 Newton. But in my shed, I have 35 Newton in the shed, and I drive the tractor on it and everything, and there's no sign of degrading at all. But it might happen. So that's another thing I don't know. I'm only trying to tell you that it's not a case that I know everything. But if you study something, you can generally form an opinion and apply common sense to it. And this is what the woke agenda is. It's just thinking up a solution, or indeed not doing that, thinking up a problem like climate change, and then coming up with a harebrained solution to fix it. Now remember, I'm not able to comment on the needle up here, that. I don't know where I stand on it, here. But then there's another thing I can't understand. If I make a video on something that's a good video and post it on Rumble, nobody will look at it. I can't figure that one either. I don't understand it. I don't understand that. And another thing I don't understand, I am relatively convinced that some of the people who are subscribers and post on my account, on my videos, have their posts deleted some way. That is a mystery to me. They can't all be telling lies. But I had a solution to them, to go over to my Rumble channel and post on it. You get a lot on my channel of people posting an answer to an earlier video on a later video. And another thing that happens a bit too, and I'm not giving out about this, I understand it's not easy, but unintelligible posts. I'm not talking about the lefties, the few lefties we have here. Every cow needs a few flies to skip her tail at. But the deletion of posts by YouTube from certain people, I don't understand it at all. And I've never had anyone post elsewhere and said this is what was deleted. And nobody who has post deleted will go over to my Rumble channel and post it there. I don't fully understand that. So I'm not a genius at all. Not a genius at all. So with that in mind, we'll turn in for the night. One of the things, if you're going to bed and you have a warm outfit and with a bit of heat and before the greens, even you have to pay tax to keep warm, is to look at some of the videos of ships in the Pacific Ocean, mainly, and they're ploughing along with a big load of cargo and they're going through enormous waves, and you begin to say, oh, I would like to be out there. And you can actually, some of them, you can hear the wind. The sailors make them. You can hear the wind like hitting off the camera. It makes you appreciate the bit of cover, in that way. Anyway, I hope everyone, all my subscribers, have have a good night's sleep. You won't get watching this tonight. My internet's gone. A tree fell down across the wire. My own fault. I should have had the branch cut off it. I should have had before the storm. There you are. We all make mistakes. And it'll be a while till the crowd is out. But funny enough, I'm getting a very good service from the sky. There's some Yankee, some American living over the west of Ireland who did a video on the storm too, and he had a generator and different things. I didn't get looking at them all. And he makes the point that he could get some type of emergency power through batteries. And one of the things it does tell us is the need to have a radio. To have a radio in an ordinary battery radio. I think I'll go and buy another one. I used to throw them out, but same when the storm was on, it was nice to have a radio to hear what's going on, because you've no other way of getting a service for a day or two. And then the service came back from the sky, and I can keep up with stuff and keep up with the news here without internet at all. Now I have another house, of course, a good house where all that is there. So that's basically everything in it, everything there is. People. I don't want to be seen as a know-all, but I don't care what people think. What people want to understand about me, there's plenty of different. And if you say if you put out a persona of being an old dopey old fellow, or the like, he's a nice old devil, but you tell them, I'm much more smarter than you are. That gets up their noses and they go mad. You have a whiz going, and if you tell kids in a game that you're the best at it, and then they beat you, you have unbelievable value out of them then, because they get this feeling, hey, you're not as smart as you thought you were. But it's amazing how many people can't see that, and who are totally without a sense of humour. And I know a lot of people, not so much, I have to say, in the northeast of Ireland, here in the Republic, most people have a sense of humour. Well, I served with people from other parts of the country, and particularly the West, and they've no sense of humour at all. No sense of humour at all. And I'd be working with them, some of them, big straight guards, we going on, we're getting a raise of pay, and I'd be playing tricks on them all the time. And so once, I never got caught, I think maybe once, but I couldn't help but play tricks on them to see what they do, but it's amazing how many people that have no sense of humour. A few years ago, I used to go into a place that's closed up now, and there was one man there, and he had no sense of humour. He never laughed, he never spoke to anyone. He'd say hello. I don't know what he was retired. Nice day, and that's all he'd say, you see. And there was a person serving there, and sometimes he'd be there and sometimes he wouldn't. And I said, if I mention a certain thing, you go along, I just see. So this boy was here to my left, and this particular day I happened to be beside him, and he says, I'll have the half portion of beef. He's cutting back on the money a bit, so he'd only get one slice of beef. Not only would I eat 2 slices of beef, I'd eat 6 slices of beef. I don't get half enough in hardly any outfit, although an odd time I do get enough, but generally speaking, these pub grubs don't give men enough. I did hit the plate and the whole lot when I'd be hungry. So anyway, the thing is, he got, and I said, I'll have roast beef as well, and so he got his roast beef half portion, and I got my roast beef the full portion. And I called over here, man. Hey, come here. He only got a half portion, and he got 286 peas, and I got the full portion, and I only got 241. Why is he getting more than me? And I was wondering what his reaction would be if he didn't break down into a fit of laughing. You counted them, he says, and he went laughing at this. Isn't it amazing how that drew out the sense of humour? The idea that I was able to count the peas on his plate and counting that he got more than me on the half portion. I got a laugh out of him, and your man behind the couch, I was laughing. God, he started laughing. You're right, he said. He's right. So people often, if I'm out for a meal or that, what do you think of the meal, Val? Well, it was good now, but the way you get the little thing of chips sometimes, I only got 68 chips, And the woman down there, and she's no appetite at all, and she got 75, and she left the half them behind her. Oh, you counted the chips, you see. I keep a dead straight face. You counted the chips. Another way of getting a bit of a laugh is if you're out and you meet people, and there's a woman on the job. If maybe some fella has a girlfriend or something, and or maybe someone you know, or maybe someone you half know, and come over to talk to him. They usually wouldn't be talking to me, but might come over to talk to somebody else. How are you doing? How you doing? Oh, you were in Pennies. See, you're in Pennies. See, Pennies is a shop in Dundalk, and they have a few throughout Ireland. They're slightly upmarket purveyors of supermarket clothing, mostly women's clothing. Dunstores does the very same. Good clothing, of course, but you see, you're saying, oh, you have an outfit on you. I'm sure that's on sale in Pennies. I know the Pennies was doing a cheap sale, you see, and you bought on a cheap sale. And that gets an unbelievable reaction. Sometimes women don't like it at all. Sure, the hell are you to tell me where I bought my clothes? I didn't. It's none of your. I could be in McElhinney's, and then you get a bit going like that. But do you see the way that you can have the chat? And I grew up in a society where that sort of fun and poking fun and slagging was all the time. In fact, I'd say only about a third of our conversation was real. The rest of it was all banter, and it's dying out a bit. And you know what? It's a pity. It's a pity. But I'm not going to give it up, and I don't care who likes it or who doesn't. And that's the thing about Trump. Apart from the general politics, there's no doubt he's a character. He is a character. And he has a sense of humour. And a lot of what happened to him in the beginning, they said he was mocking handicapped people and all that. That's nonsense, not at all. But a lot of that was winding people up as well. It got him into a bit of trouble in the beginning, and I'd say he's still a bit of a fella for a bit of fun. And talking about Nancy Pelosi and all these fellas. But he is, for a statesman, unusually like that. There's nothing like him for fun. Nothing like him for fun. And his rallies were great fun. But when he was elected president, his reaction wasn't so much that he won or anything like that. It was there'll never be another Trump rally. In other words, there's no more Trump rallies. He won't be electioneering again. That was a funny way of looking, and that's the exact way I would look at life too. A sad side to this as well. Okay, on 22 minutes. That's my bit of a chat for the night. I hope you enjoyed the bit of company and the bit of fun. The point is often made about the left wingers that do comment negatively. Sullivan is one, and Joe Healy could be all the same fella. There's ABG or something like that, and they say it's disturbing, and they don't describe it, but they're not capable of describing it. It's just that they know I don't conform to the norms of social interaction. And I'm not going to. Right, we'll let you go, folks, on that on 23 minutes, and I hope we'll get a good night's sleep. It'll be tomorrow night when you are using this. But as I say again, look at a video of a big ship in a tempestuous storm, and it's going through the waves and up and down. And you I would like to be out there. And that, well, you'll sleep like a horse after it. It's funny, like that's what we can do. That's the great thing about the internet. I mean, how you can select things like that. That's simple, like, there's nothing, no big talking or anything else. Oh, I wouldn't like to be out there. And just before I go, I had a relation who was very, very brainy, and he was a navigator on a ship. And he did a course in South Shields in England, and he was navigating the ship. And sometimes he could take the ship from Southampton in England to a port maybe in South America, and he'd never go outside. A lot of the time, he'd just have his little place there, his bed and all, and he could navigate from there. The cat is trying to get in here. I'm not letting her in tonight, but he'd navigate the ship. But he was all enthusiastic about the job. But one of the things that turned him off it, and he quit it eventually, he went selling cheese or something in Ireland, came back to Ireland, and all the places he was everywhere. But one of the things that turned him off was the Chinese. They used to have a lot of Chinese crew. on these oil tankers and things, and they'd be running out catching birds, and they'd be setting mouse traps to catch the little birds landing on the ship, and they'd eat them. And he just didn't like that. And it just shows you like how our cultures clashed. In any event, folks, we'll let you go. On that. Good night, and God bless you all. Bye bye. Thank you.